Welcome back YouTube, Twitter UK. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Top 10. Who says I don't do toppers? Who's this twat who said toppers are for fucking idiots? Well, I've been tagged. We've been tagged by Access Area 6, Kev. And I'm looking over here because this is where the questions are. Now, he was tagged by a chap called Tony Fighter 2. I didn't know who Tony Fighter 2 was. Hands up. I had to go and find him. And I had to go and ask someone where his video was because I was looking for a video that sort of said top 10 questions to ask or whatever, and it's not. It was hidden in a like a live stream that he'd done. So I found the questions anyway. It was just easy to do it this way, and also I could obviously put Tony as the originator into the video, so you know, just give him kudos back if you like. And obviously I'll mention, you'll know fucking Kev anyway. And I've got to tag two people, but I'll tag them at the end. I've just watched Goldtooth's video, and I liked how he did that. He didn't sort of say who it was. He left it at the end. So if you know you're going to be tagged, you'll be tagged. Plus, it gives me some time to think about who to tag because I haven't really thought about this. I've watched Tony's and I've just watched Goldtooth's video. That's it. That's all I've watched. So, yeah, kind of doing it on the fly. But obviously, I've had time to think about it because I've watched their video, so I'm not going to lie. You know, there are... You know, there's been a chance to have a think about it. So anyway, look, there's 10 questions. I don't think it's... obviously, it's around fucking gaming, but there's no theme or anything like that. It's just that there's 10 random questions to do with gaming. And I suppose it just gives you an insight into who we are and what we like and what we don't like and stuff like that. Which probably, most of you that watch me will probably know anyway. But anyway, look, let's do this. So first up, it says, what type of games do you like to play? Now, very much like my music, I like all sorts, you know, and I'll give anything a go within reason. So even sports games, but that's kind of fell into another question, I suppose. But with the sports ones, it has to be the arcadey type ones. I don't really like the simulate. Same with the driving games. I don't like simulated driving games. I like the arcadey type ones, which is like a bit of fun, I suppose. But you know, what types of games do I like to play? RPGs, platformers, adventure games. I like, again, because I'm getting older a bit, I think a lot of us at a certain age will say puzzle games. You wouldn't have said a puzzle game as a kid, would you? But other than Tetris, probably. You know what I mean? But so I wouldn't sort of say I'm pigeonholed into a certain type of game. You know, I've played massive multiplayer online RPGs like World of Warcraft. I've played that for years. Yeah, so there's not a sort of singular genre of game that I sort of say, oh yeah, I only play this type of game, you know, like one-on-one fighters or whatever, which some people do. Some people like become experts at it, but I'm kind of not like that. I'm a you know, jack of all trades, master of none, I suppose, to quote a saying. Going dry, because see the question one, I'm cheating here because I'm looking further down. So the question one kind of like bleeds into question 7, so it's a bit, I don't know, and I really answer it without answering the other question as well at the same time. So we'll go to question 2 and I can elaborate further on what kind of games I like to play. Number 2 is, how much time on average do you spend playing video games? Short answer is not enough. Not enough. Again, harking back to when we were younger, you had no money in all the time. Now I'm older, I've got not all the money, but I've got some money, but none of the time, and that's kind of how it works. So my game time now would be now. So I'm recording this at about 7 o'clock, 6, 7 o'clock. I'll probably have an hour and a half's gaming. Just had my dinner, so I'd be probably on the Switch having a game or on something else. You know, probably for an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe ish. And then I'll have to sort of start watching a sort of TV show program to start winding down to go to bed. That's my life really in a nutshell. Fascinating. Yeah, I'm not one of these stay up all night, burn the candles at both ends. To be honest, I've never really been like that, even when I was younger, you know, because I can't switch my brain off without oversharing too much. If I get too overstimulated, not that way. If if I get too overstimulated in the evening, I don't sleep very well. It's why I don't like horrors. It's why I don't watch horrors, because I end up with night terrors and stuff like that. I'm 48 years old, still have nightmares. They're not nightmares, are night terrors. Everything's really real. If you ever want to Google it, Google night terrors and people, or I call them freak outs. You know, I said to Mrs. I was remember me freaking out last night. It'd be anything, something stupid, oversharing here. You know, I can imagine that spikes are coming down from the ceiling, or the walls are caving, or we're being flooded, and it's real. It's real. Then what I have to do, if I get up and leave the room, leave the bedroom, I kind of come round and I'm all right then. But yeah, I've had them since I was a kid. Numerous times my older brother had to pull me out from jumping out the window and stuff like that. So anyway, go back to the question. In terms of how much game time to play, it'd probably be a couple of hours of an evening. If it's at the weekend, it'll probably be longer. But yeah, I'm not a massive fucking marathon game or whatever stuff like that. Except, again, probably exception would have been World of Warcraft when I was playing that. And I can categorically tell you, because I remember I used to fall asleep and my eyes would just be like twitching under my eyelids, and you'd still be in the game. Really hard to switch off. So that's why I don't do that as much now, if at all. This is quite an interesting one. Do you think video games can be educational? So this was a big thing, you know, especially, again, harking back to when we were younger, you know, edutainment, stuff like that. And again, if you're even around my age, you'll remember the BBC micros, all the Acorns and Granny's Garden, you know, to take you off. Well, we did, because our school didn't have a computer. We'd go off to like a computer centre in the town, in the city centre, where they'd have all these BBC micros set up, and you play Granny's Garden and that. So the idea was to sort of teach you, you know, maths, spelling and all that kind of stuff, but in a gaming environment. I'm not sure if that's where this is directed at, or if it means, can video games teach you anything? You know, do you learn anything from video games? So I'll try and cover both bases. And in both instances, I'd probably say yes. You know, there's been many a time, especially with playing like adventure games and stuff like that, where you kind of have to understand like English, read stuff to get a gist of what it's saying, and some of the puzzle games in there, to you know, point and click games and stuff like that. So it gets that cognitive brain matter working for you to solve the puzzles within the game. You know, that's what I always loved about point and clicks. The ones that made sense, there were some games out there, like Sierra Online games, were just stupid stuff that didn't make it, really abstract fucking puzzles to solve a puzzle. It was ridiculous. I like the ones that made sense and that were logical. So, and I think the other guys have touched on it as well, you know, in terms of hand-eye coordination and stuff like that, you know, from a health perspective rather than an educational one. But yeah, I think in both ways. Now, are the edutainment ones a thing now? I don't really know. With all the tablets about, I suppose that there's some sort of degree of, it's a fine line, isn't it? Because then you become a sort of monotonous bot the kids do, just tied to tablets and fucking iPads and stuff. So yeah, fine line, but I would probably err on the side of yes in both. Either, you know, do they teach you anything, and can you learn from them, and does it expand your brain matter somewhat? Yeah. Right, number 4. What don't you like about video games? This is just video games, Stu. This is not fucking YouTube. It's not society in general. So, like, rein yourself in. What I don't like about video, I'm assuming, I don't know what when it's referring to. Is it what I keep looking at, because that's what the questions are. What don't you like about video games now, or at all, or across the decades? If we're talking kind of nowish, what I don't like about video games now is the same thing I really don't like about many movies now, is that none of them are fucking original. This whole regurgitating, cloning, copying, and then doing it really poorly generally. I mean, like, you've literally, your imagination is the limit, and they can't fucking come up with anything new other than copy some art and like re-HD it and reskin it and blah blah blah. And I'm like, come up with something new, come up with an original idea. You know, I had this conversation with the eldest. We were on about movies and games and stuff like that, and I kind of nearly put my foot in it. I had to sort of pull myself back because I nearly said Nintendo's the only ones that come up with anything innovative, but they don't, because they spit out Mario's and Luigi's and Mario Karts fucking on a regular, don't they? So they're all guilty of it. But I think what I probably don't like about video games now is, and it's probably less so in recent times because the indie scene's bloomed, but the fear of trying something new. I think that's what it is. It's that financial risk, isn't it? And I get it. When you understand the mechanics behind it, you can understand why they bring out FIFA every year and NHL every year and stuff like that, because it makes money, and there's probably using the same engines generally, and it's just a license to print money. But it doesn't breed any innovation. It doesn't breed any creativity, does it? Nintendo do have the odd, and I mean, they've probably created half the known genres of games going. Let's be honest, that are out there. But yeah, that's probably. I mean, see, the other thing, what I don't like about video games now, what I don't like about things in video games, the classic underwater levels, water levels. Why? No, Joel. We used to have a channel, probably still got it called Underwater Level. It's quality, because no one likes underwater levels. They're horrendous. I know Goldtooth mentioned he doesn't like stealth. So stealth bits in games. I don't like underwater level bits in games. There's probably other facets of things in games that really piss me off, like inverted X and Y axis, and you can't change it. So down is up and up is down. No, fucko, I'm not a fucking fighter pilot. Just let me push up to go up and down to go down. But again, I'm not sure if that's what that question's asking. I'm not sure. I can't really elaborate too much more on that. Number 5. How much do you spend on video games? All of it. The whole fucking lot. It all goes. We'll just live on Tesco's own beans and bread. Beans on toast for the rest of the month. Yeah, a lot. But in my defence, I've got no other real vices. Those that used to watch me, and have watched me for years and years, I used to like a drink. I still do like a drink. I just don't drink regularly at all now. When I go to sort of meets and whatever, lager shandies, and I'll drink lager shandies all night. But I don't drink now. Other than that, I might go to like a party or something, and I'll have, again, lager shandies or whatever. So it's not that I don't drink. I'm not a teetotaler. I'm not a born again teetotaler. I'm a born again Christian. None of that bollocks. I don't believe in it. I think live and let live. You do you. It's your decision, etc., etc. But yeah, I don't smoke, don't do any drugs anymore. Never smoked, to be honest. So I've got no other advice. I don't gamble, never gambled. Don't really understand that whole thing. So how much do I spend? Fucking all of it. But this is the other thing as well. So I used to spend all of it, but differently. So, and I was thinking about this when I was watching Kev's and Goldtooth's, because when they were talking about the spending habits, I suppose, and again, very akin to those two. A lot of the stuff I've got, I bought cheap, right? And I bought cheap because I was going to car boots, I was going to charity shops and stuff like that. And I remember watching people like my good mate Daz Cojones, like Jay Cyber Snake, Retro Dave, Alex, Nintendo Arcade, and they would be selective collectors, what I would call selective collectors. So they would probably have a pot of money, maybe equal to what I had, for whatever, and they would buy the games that they wanted, and they would be like expensive, individualized games. Whereas I would have, I don't know, say like 100 quid a week. Let's just round up to that. So I would take 100 quid to the car boot, and that would be my money. I wouldn't spend anything during the week because I'd be looking forward to the car boot. And then what I would do, what a lot of this you probably do now, you buy some stuff for car boot, blah, blah, and you take it into CEX, you flip it and you'd sell it, and you'd make that little pot of money at 100 quid. And back then, you see, spend 100 quid at the car boot, you're coming back with a boot full, and like 70% of it back then, I'd keep, which is what a lot of this is built from. And then the other 30%, you'd flip on, trade in to build it up again. So the way I'm collecting and spending the money now is a lot different to what it was back then. But yeah, I think you live to your means as well. If you've got no money, then there'd be no games buying. You know, I wouldn't make myself bankrupt doing it. So you live to your means, maybe. So putting a figure on it, I don't know, a couple of hundred, easily. But again, doing what I do now, in terms of the markets and stuff, you know, you'd be spending that, and then hopefully you'll be getting 50% of that back at some point. Be it from upgrades, which is what a lot of it is for me. You know, upgrading the loose carts to box and stuff. So there's a little bit of a kickback in terms of that, but yeah, it's not all out. You know, like probably people are doing now, going CX and spunking 50 quid, 100 quid on 360 titles. That don't happen. Number 6. What is your favourite games console? Super Nintendo. It's hands down. Not because it's the best, which it is, but it just holds more memories. It holds more memories because I think at that point then, that was like the pinnacle. I would say that was a pinnacle of home gaming. You know, some people will argue it was like the dawn of the micros, because consoles, micros, I'm guessing kind of balling them all up together. Some people would say, you know, the Atari 2600 was really the catalyst for them and stuff like that. But in terms of my favourite games console, my favourite one would be the Super Nintendo, because it just, the graphics, the sound, the controller, I think it captured that moment perfectly in gaming history. I know Goldtooth mentioned the Neo Geo AES. Yeah, fantastic machine. Is it your favourite video game console? Well, let's be honest, very few fuckers had it, because it was so expensive, because it literally was the arcade. There was no, you know, conversions or anything. They were literally the same games, the same hardware in an arcade machine. And yeah, the SNES, just the breadth and the quality of those games back in the day. Again, it's all nostalgia, it's all rose-tinted glasses, I'm sure. And again, I'll liken it to people of the 360 and the PS3 now, that they're probably the same thing. But for me, the Super Nintendo really solidified home gaming, and I think it gave a lot of the big push then towards the 32-bit era. Because again, prior to that, you had the sort of 8-bit consoles, the Master System, the NES, which, again, contrary to popular belief, I don't think was all that popular in the UK. We were definitely more 8-bit micros and Master System orientated. You know, even the Ataris after the 2600 didn't do very well at all. Really didn't. So that was a favourite game console. What is your favourite video game? See, I thought that one was tied into what type of games do you like to play, which I kind of, I suppose, well, no, not really. Yeah, I suppose if you're into a certain genre game, I'll probably answer that first one right then. What is my favourite video game? I don't know. I still think mechanically, design, graphically, musically, the best engineered game is still Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. I think that game had it all. I really do. But is that my favourite game? There's other games I like. Again, I'm kind of answering another. Well, no, because it doesn't say that, does it? So, what is your least favourite type of game? It doesn't say what is your favourite type of game, does it? So, what was my favourite video game? My favourite video game type, I suppose, because the number 10 is the least. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird, because you're asking to just pinpoint one game out of like fucking thousands. But again, I've got a real soft spot for Tetris. Is that my favourite game ever? Maybe. Yeah. There's so Street Fighter 2. I mean, that was just defining, genre defining. You know, Capcom sort of after Street Fighter 1, which very few people played. I actually played that in the arcades. I played it with the big rubber pads that you have to hit. And it was a very sort of niche, quirky game at the time. It wasn't regarded whatsoever. It wasn't until Street Fighter 2 came out that it really hit the strides. And again, it was genre defining. No one had done that before. So, yeah, I've not really answered it, I don't suppose, because I haven't got. And I think anyone who says this is my favourite game and I have anything else, I think they're a bit stupid. I think it's stupid to say that, because you're neglecting and you're being a bit horrible to all the other games that are like literally equally as great. And some people that are into the survival horrors would say Resident Evil and everything counts, but you know, that's a genre of game, isn't it? So I don't know. So now this one here, number 8. What is your favourite video game movie? Now, this is easy. I'm gonna copy Goldtooth. This means is a movie, you know, movie that's video game related. So I'm not gonna spoil it. Kev had one. Goldtooth mentioned one. I say I'm gonna copy Goldtooth, and that's The Wizard, with Fred Savage, Christian Slater. I can't remember what his dad's name is now. The dad in it. But that back then when I watched that was when Mario. It was the best advertisement for a video game, bar none, because Mario 3 hadn't even come out then at that point. When that movie was released, it was coincided with the release of Super Mario 3. And weirdly enough, I played Super Mario World on the SNES before I played Super Mario Bros. 3. So I didn't really get the buzz for 3 that people would have had back in the day, because I said no one really had an NES at all. My mate John had a Super Nintendo first and then went back and got the NES, the Turtle Pack. And that's when they played Mega Man and stuff like that. So we sort of experienced the next gen and then went backwards a little bit. Retro before we knew it, you see. Say we, him, but I played on it as well. But yeah, The Wizard, if you... Please tell me you've watched The Wizard. No one, you know, Fred Savage, Christian Slater. You can stream it probably. Go and buy it. It's the best video game related movie, bar none. For us older people, you know, I love the Power Glove. It's so bad. You know, California. There's loads of stuff. There's loads of quotable lines in it. And it's a good family movie, man. It really is. And I say it's got loads of video game stuff chucked into it all throughout the movie. Fantastic. And you know, again, back when people were making movies that were like original, weren't fucking copying something out. So, you know, I said it last video, man. We lived through the best of times. I don't care what anybody says. If you were born in the 70s, sort of mid 70s onwards, and you experienced and you were into the sort of pop culture of that time, we lived through the best of it. I mean, I'm not a big music guy or anything, but probably had the best music as well and everything as a whole collective. Movies, TV shows, especially gaming, arcades and stuff like that. That was what I was going to say about arcades, but it's going backwards now because my brain. What I don't like about video games, you fucking killed the arcade, you bastards. That's what I don't like about video games. Ruined it. You fucking ruined it. You had something good and you couldn't fucking hold back and you had to ruin it. Looking at you, PlayStation, because that was really the death knell. That was the death knell of the arcades. Anyway, by the by, favourite game, like I say, Wizard. I was after someone had a poster. I got one space that I could put a poster up, and it was a UK advertisement for the Nintendo Entertainment System, but it was using the Wizard to advertise it. I hadn't seen one of these before. But the guy wanted a bit too much, and I sort of tried to lowball him, and then the guy I know, he went and bought it, and he was a big fan as well. So, but that was the only poster I probably would have had up there, the Wizard one. Who's your favourite video game character? See, these are way too specific questions, man. I mean, my first reaction, it's dead fucking common. It'd be Mario. I just think he's done it all. He can drive cars, fly planes, you can play tennis, you can do everything. You can run and jump on turtles and Koopa Troopers and stuff. But I think, you know, I like Cloud out of Final Fantasy VI. I like Ryu, Street Fighter 2. You know, as a character. But whether they're my favourite, I don't really have a favourite. You know, they're so fucking. I could look on here. You know, someone might say, "Oh, I love Tombi," or look over here, and someone say, "Oh, I love what's his name out of Splatterhouse on the Megadrive, that character," or "I love Conkers." But I don't gotta, you know, sort of like, "Oh, I don't like this," because if you're saying your favourite, that means you probably don't like other characters. But yeah, I don't really, you know, I'd probably say Mario. I know it's really corny and fucking cop out. Some people might say, like, I don't know, Solid Snake. But, you know, would I get a tattoo of them? Maybe that's what you should say. If you had to get a tattoo of somebody, who would it be and why? You know, some people probably say one of the Pokemons. You got a favourite in that respect, you know. That was question 9. Last one, 10, and then I'll let you go. What is your least favourite type of game? I don't really, again, I mentioned this, I don't really like sports simulation games. I don't really like driving simulation games. I like the more arcadey type of games. But I don't really dislike, you know, because you could sort of say I don't like sports, but I'd be lying, because there are some sports games I you know, I wouldn't say I do play now, but I did enjoy playing. You know, like Kickoff 2 and Speedball 2. That's classed as a sport game. Stuff like that. I mean, but then again, I mean, Goldtooth mentioned strategy games. I'm talking about RTS games, real-time strategy games. So I don't play them, but I don't dislike them. But I'm not a massive fan of them. There's some that I do like. I do quite like playing Command and Conquer. One I actually tried to play recently, which is slightly different, which is a tactical RPG, which was Ogre Battle. I didn't really like that. Now, would I say that's my least favourite type of game? Probably not, because I didn't hate it. I just didn't really get on with it. But do you know what? If I had to say the type, people are gonna fucking burn me for this. Really. I don't like, and I think it goes back to what I don't like about video games as well. If I'm thinking about this logically, my least type of video game would probably tie into what I don't like about video games, which, and it sounds horrible because it really catapulted some of the systems and some games into infamy, is the first person shooter, the FPS. Because I used to just say, just run around shooting people in the face. And I probably need to frame it. I don't mean, because back when it first come out, like Call of Duty and stuff like that, it was like a World War II simulator, and it was groundbreaking. It was better. It was like being on Saving Private Ryan. So that kind of first person, I could get on. I could play, and I played most of them on the PC actually, and No One Lives Forever and stuff like that. But I think when it got to the arena, I think they call them maps, but back then it was like, because I used to play Quake and Doom and stuff like that. But they call them maps now. But the Call of Duty online running around shooting each other, no. And I think one of the first ones that we were playing was Far Cry on the Xbox. I just couldn't get on with it. I don't know if my thumb's not dexterous enough. I controlled it, that one, and then with that one I'd just be all over the fucking shop, and I couldn't shoot I don't know why. Like I say, maybe I've always said this, I just don't think I'm dexterous enough. But when I was playing on the PC, because it was mouse and keyboard, those are PC games, you know, aka the Master Race, with your WASD and stuff like that. I found it far more intuitive. I just couldn't get with console gaming. So I'll probably say my least favourite is the sort of arena fighter shooters, like I say, like the Call of Duty map ones where you just running around shooting people in the face. I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, back in the day on Quake, it used to be called, you got fragged. You're just running around fragging people for like hours and hours on end. Boring. I know, again, it's just my view of it. I know people sort of have their headsets on and now you can all chat to each other and stuff, but I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I kind of get, and I kind of like the purpose of the style of the first person shooter, you know, like back in the day, Duke Nukem 3D and stuff. Oh, it's got a story and you go from level to level to level, but the ones where you're just running around a map shooting people, I don't get it. I just don't see the enjoyment out of it. So I've not really answered any of them properly, I don't think. But those are the answers. And if you're tagged, you'll know you're tagged. Take it easy, YouTube, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.